Have you ever felt that no matter how hard you try, your financial life just doesn't work out? That no matter how hard you try, money slips away, debts return, and you live stuck in an invisible cycle, as if there is something outside of your control pulling you back into scarcity? This channel is not just about stories. It's about hidden codes. Codes that are behind the reality you live in, and perhaps without realizing it, you've been trying to decipher them for years. Here, each case is a key, a clue, a mirror of what you may also be experiencing. Today, what you are about to hear seems impossible, but when you understand the universal laws, the impossible becomes just. Misunderstood. She couldn't get a new job. He did not receive any inheritance. He didn't even win the lottery. But suddenly, the debts started to disappear. No miracle, no extra money. The only thing that changed was her. What happened to Clara was not a coincidence, luck, or trick. It was a change of vibration, so deep and subtle that most people would never notice it. And that's why so many people continue to repeat the same financial cycles, even after changing jobs, taking a finance course, or earning more money. Have you ever experienced this? The feeling that everything gets better for a while, but then you're back to the same old place. Like there's some hidden programming keeping you there, always on edge. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover now may surprise you, and perhaps set you free. Clara's story reveals a silent pattern that affects millions of people. Vibrational block in relation to money, the belief that you are not worthy, the guilt of wanting more, the fear of being judged if you prosper. All this vibrates inside, and the universe just mirrors. This is where the she gives mentalism, a law of vibration, and the mirror principle. Spiritual laws that not only explain what happened to Clara, but can also explain what is happening to you. Why it's not about the salary. It's about the frequency, and the energy you emit when you think about money, even if it's unconscious, creates the reality you live in. For a long time, Clara thought the problem was external, the bills, the interest, the crisis. But deep down, there was an older pain, a silent feeling of inadequacy, as if she wasn't allowed to have more, as if he was always in debt, even when he owed nothing. Maybe you are carrying this too. Maybe the universe is responding not to your effort, but to your energy. And it was. Only when Clara stopped fighting, when she silenced the noise of guilt and scarcity, that something began to change, but not in the way she imagined. In this video, you will learn about laws that govern reality far beyond matter. Laws that shape what you live, feel, and attract, even when you are not aware of it. You will understand how the she gives mentalism reveals that everything starts in the mind, and that your thoughts are not just loose ideas but seeds that create. You will discover how law of vibration shows that your energy speaks louder than your words, and that it is your energy that determines what manifests or not. Let's also touch on law of cause and effect, which explains why, without even realizing it, you may be recreating scarcity every day, and the most profound mirror principle, which reveals how the universe shows you exactly what you feel inside, including about money, deservingness, and abundance. These laws are not philosophical. They are living codes, and when Clara accessed them, even without knowing their names, her reality responded. Now, maybe yours is trying to answer too. When Clara fell silent, something opened, not outside but inside. What was once tension became surrender. And it was in this surrender, almost a tired sigh, almost an "I can't take it anymore," that the universe finally responded in another way. The door that seemed locked did not need to be forced. She just needed to stop pushing in fear and start vibrating in confidence. And maybe at this point in the story, you're feeling something inside too. Maybe you recognized patterns, remembered moments, or simply feeling that in some way, this story speaks to yours. If this makes sense to you, leave a comment below with what has touched you the most so far. Your story, your vision, even your outburst. It all matters. Because when you share, other people see themselves too. And that's how we build a space for healing, exchange, and truth. If this message reached you in any way, leave your like. It's not just a click, It's a sign that this type of content needs to continue to exist, grow, and find people who are ready to listen. And if you feel like this is just the beginning, subscribe to the channel. Here, each video is a new key, a new layer of what you may already know, but needed to remember. Because what comes next is the moment when everything starts to make sense. Her name is Clara, and like many people, she grew up hearing that money was a problem, that it was hard to find, hard to do, and that it only came to those who already had it. For years, she lived in a state of silent tension. It wasn't just being in the red, it was living in an internal state of scarcity, of constant vigilance, as if the ground could give way at any moment. Her credit cards were always maxed out, her loans taken out with fear and guilt, her renegotiations that seemed like a relief, but soon turned into yet another prison. Even when something good happened, an unexpected paycheck, a bonus, a break, it was accompanied by this feeling, this won't last. And it didn't. It was overwhelming. It was as if there was an invisible force that gave with one hand and took away with the other. Clara called it bad luck. But deep down, she was tired of feeling haunted by this shadow that no one saw. She tried to compensate by controlling herself. She made spreadsheets, read books about finance, watched videos with practical tips on how to get out of debt. She studied investments, set goals with deadlines, and tried to follow all the right steps. But there was a place inside her that didn't follow this change. A silent but incredibly powerful place. Deep inside, there was still fear, a feeling of inadequacy, and an old, almost imperceptible voice repeated phrases that no longer came from outside, but that had become part of her. Money is not for me. I'm terrible with numbers. We came into this world to fight, not to have surpluses. Phrases said by other mouths, but that now echoed like truths in her body. And perhaps the cruelest thing of all was this. Clara was trying to change on the outside, but the internal system was still vibrating with scarcity. It was like trying to build a new house on top of a plot of land, infested with roots that were pushing everything down. Until one day, after yet another failed attempt, yet more lost money, yet another surprise bill, she stopped, literally. She stopped in the middle of the room, sat on the floor, and did nothing else. For the first time in a long time, she didn't run, she didn't solve anything, she didn't plan, she just breathed. And in that moment, something happened. It wasn't a magic solution. It wasn't an external response. It was a silent breaking, a kind of surrender. Not the I give up on life kind, but the I don't have to fight myself anymore kind. And it was in that silence that Clara heard, or maybe just felt, a new truth trying to be born. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because what Clara experienced is more common than it seems. And behind this pattern, there is a vibrational code that many people carry without knowing it. A program that activates every time they try to grow, prosper, change their reality. And the origin of this code is not in the bills. It is in the emotions, in the traumas, in the ideas that we absorb as absolute truths, but that are actually just emotional inheritances. Write in the comments, I'm on this journey too. I want to feel who is here, living this process from the inside. What about you? Have you ever felt like you were stuck in a maze that you don't remember entering, but can't get out of? As if every attempt to move forward was subtly pulled, back by something you can't see but feel. Many people live exactly like this, with their financial lives going in circles. And the hardest part is that, on the outside, everything is fine. You work, you make an effort, you think positively, you do everything they say works. But on the inside, there's a frequency that doesn't keep up with this movement, and that's where the trap lies, because the conscious mind believes it's in control. But the truth is that what's really guiding the course of your life is the part you can't see. The vibration, the energetic field that you carry based on your emotions, your memories, and the ideas that you've absorbed as truths, even without realizing it. And the universe, which works based on the law of correspondence, responds to this with mathematical precision. It doesn't sabotage you, it just mirrors you. This is a delicate point, because no one likes to imagine that they are creating, even unconsciously, their own scarcity. It makes you angry, guilty, and frustrated. But understanding this is not about guilt. It is about vibrational responsibility. It is about leaving the victim position and entering the place of co-creator. And that requires courage. Courage to look inside and recognize that perhaps what is repeating itself in your life is not even yours. Maybe you are living an inherited script, a story that began long before you. Phrases like, money is not for us. Only those who do wrong things get rich. Those who have a lot of money lose the essentials, may not have been said directly to you, but they were in the environment, in the field, in the emotional background of your childhood. And now you keep trying to change the surface, but you continue to vibrate the root of all this. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because this vibration is not just a feeling, it is a pattern that expresses itself in decisions, in automatic behaviors, in silent sabotage. It is when you postpone what you could resolve, when you buy what you cannot afford to feel something missing, when you feel guilty about demanding, receiving, or earning. It is as if there were a lock that prevents you from sustaining abundance. You can even access it, but it escapes, and this is no coincidence, it is vibrational programming. And the most curious thing is that, in many cases, this programming is activated precisely at the moment when everything starts to improve. As if something inside you says, this doesn't suit me, this isn't for me, I can't have all of this. And then, without realizing it, you start to undo what you've built. It's subtle, it's invisible, but the impact is real. This is the kind of revelation that changes everything, because there is no point in trying to control your life with spreadsheets if, energetically, you are preparing yourself to lose. There is no point in following productivity techniques if, deep down, you believe that you will always lack. Transformation happens when you start to consciously choose what you want to sustain within yourself, because that is what defines what the universe will give you back. Comment here. That makes sense to me. I want to feel who is truly connected to this hidden truth. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because what happened to Clara was not luck, it was not coincidence, and it was not just effort. It was a change in the invisible field of reality, a field that most people ignore, but that governs everything. The basis of her transformation is in the universal laws, laws that act all the time, with or without your permission, with or without your understanding. And one of the most powerful is the law of mentalism, which says that everything is mind. Everything begins with a thought, with a mental image, with a feeling that you hold. Reality does not arise outside, it springs from within. It is above, all an extension of your mind in the form of experiences. Clara's mind was saturated with ideas that were not hers, but that she had assumed were absolute truths. Ideas inherited from childhood, from culture, from silent fears that she had never questioned. And these ideas were shaping not only her decisions, but her vibration. Because repeated thought becomes belief, and belief becomes vibrational pattern. And this is where the law of vibration comes in. Because the universe does not respond to what you say you want, it responds to what you vibrate as truth. Clara said she wanted money, freedom, stability, but inside she vibrated fear, guilt, and a feeling of inadequacy. Her energy was tuned to lack even when she said otherwise, and that's why so many people think manifestation doesn't work, because they repeat phrases, visualize goals, write in notebooks. But all of this is done on top of an unaligned internal frequency. The universe listens to vibration, not superficial intention. In Clara's case, the big turning point began when she realized this noise between what she said and what she felt. When she realized that asking for abundance while feeling unworthy was like trying to fill a glass with a hole in the bottom. And that's when the key turned. She didn't start earning more. She didn't receive any magical answers. She simply began to change the way she treated herself internally. She began to exchange "I can't" for "I'm learning." "This isn't for me" became "I'm open to trying new things." It wasn't automatic. It was training, an emotional relearning, a deep vibrational cleansing. Little by little, without realizing it, her reality began to respond differently. Small signs appeared: a lighter renegotiation, a person offering help, relief coming from where she least expected it. But most importantly, she stopped attracting chaos. That feeling of always being on edge disappeared, because now she was no longer vibrating scarcity. She was vibrating sustenance, and the universe, which mirrors it exactly, simply followed the new frequency. This is what almost no one tells you, that the universe is not impressed by effort. It responds to coherence. When what you feel, think, and believe come into alignment, reality begins to reorganize itself. And that is why Clara didn't need a raise, a miracle, or a new source of income. She needed something much deeper, a change in mindset, in perception, in vibrational identity. And this change didn't start outside. It started in silence. It started when she chose to stop struggling with life and started treating herself as someone who deserves it. Comment here. This change starts with me. I want to see who is feeling this truth vibrating inside. What seemed like financial misfortune was in fact the exact reflection of a vibration of scarcity that lived within her. A silent but active vibration. Clara was not being punished, she was not being tested, and much less forgotten by the universe. What she was experiencing was a faithful reproduction of what she carried without knowing it. The fear of lacking, the guilt of having, the constant feeling of being in debt to something or someone, even when everything was up to date. It was as if her energy was asking the universe to confirm what she felt, and it confirmed it. This is the hardest part to accept. The universe has no preferences. It simply reflects. It mirrors with mathematical precision what you hold in your vibrational field. And no matter how hard Clara tried on the outside, on the inside she still saw herself as small, limited, and worthless. This cannot be resolved with effort. It can be resolved with awareness. It is not about working harder. It is about feeling differently. And no, Clara didn't become rich overnight. No fortune fell from the sky. No miracle solution solved everything. But she became free. Free from that cycle that seemed to repeat itself with frightening perfection. Free from the anxiety that arose at the end of each month. Free from the weight that came with each bill. Because when she understood how she was feeding this cycle, she stopped fighting the effects and began to transform the cause. And the cause was within. It was herself. Not as a mistake, but as a mirror. And when she exchanged guilt for acceptance, resistance for acceptance, something profound was reorganized. The vibration changed, and with it, reality. Money no longer came in rivers, but began to come more fluidly. Situations that previously seemed to be falling apart began to resolve themselves. Debts little by little dissolved. But the most important thing was to realize that the world had not changed. It was she who had changed, and this internal change is what so many ignore. Because we still believe that changing our lives means solving what is outside. But the hidden truth is that life only responds. It is a consequence. And when Clara realized this, she stopped running after what she wanted and started to become compatible with it. And that is why she no longer needed to prove anything. Not to the world, not to herself. She already was. The debt cycle was just a mirror. And when Clara understood what was being reflected, she was able to do things differently. She didn't heal because the debt was gone. The debt was gone because she was healed. Because the universe doesn't respond to your effort. It responds to your energy. And when that energy changes, everything around it inevitably needs to change too. If you've made it this far, it's because some part of this story spoke directly to what you feel deep inside. Maybe it was the recognition of a pattern. Maybe a silent relief in realizing that you're not alone on this journey. And if this made sense to you, if something touched you, welcomed you, or even provoked you, then this channel is also your space. That's why I invite you to subscribe, because here we don't just talk about stories, we decipher the behind the scenes of reality. And if this video has already brought clarity, imagine what's yet to come. Leave a like if you felt this connection, because that's how I know this type of content needs to continue to exist, and that it's worth exploring even further. And let me know in the comments with the phrase, "This message was for me," just so I know you stayed with me until the end. There is a video here that complements this subject and will expand this conversation even further. Click and continue with me there. The next key may be precisely in that content.